Ever since I've been involved in teaching, I've always wanted to show students the why, the bigger picture. Because you always, every single year, whether you teach for a grade 8, a grade 12, or a first year or a third year student, you always get that hand in class. Why do we need to know this? So I look forward to this because I know that will give me a lot more stories to tell my students. So thank you for traveling all the way, and we look forward to your talk.
Yes. Thank you so much for such a nice introduction. I feel very pleasure. It's a great pleasure to be here. I would like to thank ORSSA for inviting me all the way to South Africa, and also to Leanne Scott and Georgina. We have been supporting for helping me in this travel all the way. So it's a great pleasure to be here. I hope I do a presentation that is interesting. About my last names, I've been telling this story these days because it's every time I go to a new country, I have to tell this story. It's on my webpage if you want to see more details. But the short story is that in Portugal, we can have 4 to 6 last names in any order. And if you have kids, you can put a different combinations of or last names to the kids. So they don't have the same last names. My sisters and I don't have the same last names. It's a very combinatorial thing. But when you want to give only one last name, in Portugal, you can choose whatever you want, but usually it's the last one on the list, which is usually the father's name. It's a tradition, it's not by law. But in Spain, it's completely different. So I live in Spain. In Spain, you can only have 2 last names. The first one is father's last name, and the second is mother. Recently, they changed, and you can switch, and all the kids have to save. So it's a very a rule by the government. So I was to Spain, I used Lorenzo, and one time the director of the department called me and say, I'm not going to give you tenure because I check and you don't have any publication. So I panic, and I have a lot of problems legally. So I decided to switch to Ramalhinho, which is my mother last name, but it's very unusual. So if you Google it, all the Ramalhinhos are my family, almost. So I decided to go with this one. Both of them are complicated for citation because the C, the special C, no one cited correctly. So there was a lot of reasons. So you use whatever you want. You call me Elena. It's much more simple. After explain this curiosity, so I'm going to talk about optimization for social good. Let me give me some. You already give some background on me, but the university I work is in Catalonia, Barcelona. Is the newest public university. It's a public university, but it's very unusual because they hire all over the world, and we teach a lot of English, and it's becoming #1 in Spain, #6 among the youngest ones in Europe, among the youngest ones, because it only has 35 years, so it's really new university. And it's a city campus, and the idea of this campus is always to put the university in places that are not very developed, so to help the city around or the area around the university. So in 2017, with my colleague Jessica de Armas, which is one of my best colleagues, we decided that we are a bit tired of working for businesses, for retailing, manufacturing. We wanted to challenge something new. And we look at around, and we were talking with several people that in the area of healthcare, there was already things done, but in the area of social care, there was nothing done. And we talked with a lot of people and realized there's a lot of problems in this area that we can at least make a small help to solve them. So we had this project, this research project supported by the government, which I will explain a little bit, some examples here for home health care and social care. To the youngest one, and not to help you to pursue your dreams, the first project was rejected because they say, oh, well, this is not interesting. No one interested in home care, and no one is interested. COVID came, and now all the structure is to have people at home as much as possible, have the doctors go to home, have the social care go to home. So immediately this thing becomes the topic on the government to arrange the services at home. So it was so the first one, we were very disappointed. We got the second one. Then we have a project for elderly people. So maybe you don't know, but in Europe, there's a lot of population with elderly, and this needs a really requires more services. This is led by Jessica Diarmas. Then we have some projects for, this is industrial PhD. It's a system that the government supports PhD students, but they work with a company. So the company is a project between companies and the government, and you work in the company. The results are for the company, but you do your PhD. So this is one of my PhD students about mobility. So trying to take out people that are at home that have disabilities, take it out to do things, to go to the theater, go to the soccer, and to do things. And then we have some others on the sample collection, food delivery, and some location schools that I will explain some examples of this. So this is the project that we come out after start to doing things on healthcare and social care. We'll still do things on industry if they come to us, but this was more challenge. Okay. So, and we want to have impact. So we have to have impact. So maybe we want to have like some impact on the society, not just like do the research, publish the paper in a good journal, say, hey, I can publish. And then I say, okay, no one reads that paper. Then you look 10 years later and there was 10 citations and you don't know if they say good things about the paper. The citation could say bad things. So the citations is a tricky thing. So we want to make impact. I like this citation here is that change and benefit behind the academic. So go behind the academic, go outdoors on in the economy, in the society, in the culture, public policy. So this is what we want. This is our goal. And of course, we can do this because we are the science that helps to make better decisions, right? We should never forget that we are helping, we want to help someone. And operation research starts as an applied science. So sometime in the middle, we forgot about that, but it's an applied science. So we have to have an impact on the society. So this is a little bit. So we have a lot of applications. So this is some applications that we are doing. I will talk more about the first ones. And we are working basically with government and NGOs. That's the goal. And this also, working with the government NGOs, forces us to change a little bit the way we do research, because it's not the same. So for example, most of them don't want to buy licenses from software. Okay, so this is because they can afford it. Some of them cannot afford it, basically. Okay, so this is a little bit what I'm going to talk. This is the examples I'm going to talk. The 4 examples I'm going to talk: the home care services, the social care organization for our NGO calls Movement Bank, about assistive technology programs, the collecting and distributing. This starts with the collecting the COVID samples, and then we realized it was exactly the same problem to deliver food for people that were in quarantine. So in Barcelona, there's a lot of people that were in quarantine, have no family, they cannot leave a house, and they need to eat, basically. So there is the food bank, so we help them. And then there is this program with the Barcelona City Council about the mobility of people with reduced mobility. This is a very interesting program. This is my PhD student. Then I will tell you about some actual work that we're doing and some lessons that we learn on the way, that if someone can use them, that will be great, because we learn it in the hard way by making mistakes and then correct them. Okay, so the home care, it's try to provide a very good quality of life for people when they have some sickness or they need some needs. And we are working with 2 organizations. One is the healthcare and another is the social care, and try to act together, because these 2 organizations depends on one from the local government, one from the region government, and there's a lot of discoordination. So we try to provide people a good quality of life. And if you look at medical studies, it's like especially in medicals, if people go home early, first they recover fast because they're having a good environment, and second, they have less risk to get infections, because in hospital you can get a lot of infections. So we have these home health care systems, and now we will talk some stories about the hospital that we are working. And it's the doctor or the nurses or a physiotherapy that goes to home. So think about the person that have a minor surgery. And in the past, they will stay 3 days in a hospital to have, or 4 days in a hospital to have once in a day. So every day they'll do like 10 minutes treatment. That's it. And they stay in the bed all the time. This is expensive. This is not good for the person. So now if the person has good conditions at home, they send it home, and it's the nurse that goes there or the doctor that goes there and check if this person is correct. All the medical studies, this people will recover faster. But then we have the home social care. Home social care, basically, I like to say it's everything else that is not health. Okay, so you can have people helping to clean the house, cook, especially for elderly people. So maybe they step to go to a nursery house where they stay all day, and it's very sad for them. They stay at their home, but they have people coming to help them to do anything, even like go out, help to go for a walk. So this is a really nice service that we have in Barcelona. As I said, this depends from the government, the local, the regional government. This depends from the city hall, and there's some discoordination. We're trying to work with them to coordinate this. Okay. How they plan, and they allow me to show you this picture. So you see it's a little bit, I put the name. So this is a hospital. They attend about 20 persons a week, and they want to go for 200 in the following year. Of course, the idea is that they write the names of the people in the board, and then they draw the vehicle routing. Okay, with 20, because they don't go with 20, it's okay. I mean, they can do it pretty well. But when you go to 200 with all the labor constraints, you can imagine that this is not feasible. So you know about this. So I like this picture. When I saw this picture, I said, can I take a picture, please? Do you allow me? Because of course there is some names here. I said, don't worry, I will not show the names. I will just say the region. So this is Barcelona. The university is here. The university is it's here, and it's all the region that this hospital covers. It's a big hospital. So in Barcelona there is 5 big hospitals. This is one of the big hospitals, and so they wanted to increase this because they really realized that people recover much faster. So when I saw this, I said, I can help you. I'm sure I can help you. I mean, it's really, So this is a little bit the idea to planify this home care services and also to coordinate with the social care. There's a lot of news. I like to put a lot of news coming out after the COVID, how important this is. So I have another one, but it's mostly in Spanish, about how important was the home care. So there's a new decision models. There's a new need for algorithms for models to help this one. So we come out with 2 projects here. The first one is more theoretical. So this is a mathematical model. I will explain just briefly a mathematical model. This is just basically for us first to publish, because if they don't do some theory, they don't publish. And then also we like to do this. We have fun. And this is the more applied where we create a web-based system with very simple heuristics. Right now, we'll show you the system. Now people are using that and tell us what's wrong on this system, what we have to change. So this is basically the 2 projects that we have. And basically the decisions are 2. One is the scheduling. So we have the scheduling of the staff. And look, here we have different types of staff. So if you can send a nurse, there's 2 types of nurses in Spain. You can send doctor, different specializations of doctors. And then on the home care, there's completely different type of staff, because the person that cooks does not clean. The person that works with the elderly don't clean. So there's a lot of people that there are psychologists, social workers. There's a lot of different types of personnel. And then, of course, the routing. So the routing is who visits first, second, third, so you know that. Okay, so you see I'm not going in detail on the variables, but there's a lot of variables. So we have to assign the caregiver to the caretaker, which caregiver goes to the caretaker, what time they go. We have time windows. We have things about breaks, when they break, when they don't break. So the caregivers have to have lunch. The waiting time. So sometimes they have to wait because they finish at 1 o'clock and they will start at 2:30. The tardiness. So this we allowed some some services have some flexible soft time windows. Okay, so for lunch I can go there between 12 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I don't have to be there at 12 sharp. But some others have to be at sharp because I have to take this person to a bus, or I have to take this person to a doctor. So there's a lot of variables here to make decisions. And then we want to minimize. So basically, this is a multi-objective. We have to minimize the total time that is not productive. So the time that they are traveling, they are waiting, and the breaks. So because so by legal, you have to have half an hour break, but if I can assign the 45 minutes because of the scheduling. So I try to minimize this time that they're not doing production. This is just to make the system more efficient. And then we want also to think about, this is the new part on social, the service quality. So for example, it's very important for some services that always the same caregiver goes to the same caretaker. Okay, because they get a relationship, so they know what this person likes, they know what what kind of TV channel. This is story they tell me they put on, what time they like to go out. So they create a relationship. So this is creating a relationship. And now the Barcelona City Council is even changing all the system, that we are helping them to change the system to help to create this relationship between the care, especially on social care. On healthcare, it's not so important. Even it's nice to have always the same nurse or the same doctor, but it's less relevant because usually it's in a short period of time. Could be 1 month, 1 week, or 2 months. But for the social care, you can have this person for years taking care of you. And then the soft time windows. And some people say, I like to go out every day at 10 o'clock in the morning because my friends are in the garden. But of course, I mean, if all people say, I want to get out at 10 o'clock in the morning, then we need a lot of caregivers. So maybe I will take this person at 10:30. But we want to try to minimize this, really schedule this service at the time that the person, the caretaker, likes. So with this have more satisfaction. Then you have a lot of constraints like working regulations. That's obviously it's very constrained. And also then we have, this is the new part in the dependencies. So if there is a person that cannot move, it's very big or it's very difficult to move, and the doctor goes, the doctor needs some help. And so maybe a social worker or some other, the social care person has to be there. So sometimes we need, because they comment to us that there are a lot of time that especially the nurses, the doctor have to go several times because they could not do, for example, they cannot open the door. So they ring the bell, there's only the person that is sick there, this person cannot stand, so he cannot open the door. Simple things like this. So this coordination is very important, and here I just explained there is several types of coordination. They have to be there before, like for example, make sure that this person does not eat because you have to do a blood sample. And so if think about that, some people have disabilities and they will say, you cannot eat until the nurse comes. They don't care, they just eat. And then they have to go back again and again to do the blood sample. So this is something, examples. As we said, we did the mathematical model and we solve it with Ciplex. Of course, very small instance. When you go to larger instances, as I said, for this hospital is only 20 now, but for the social care, we can have thousands of people in Barcelona, thousands of people. Okay, so we have to go for heuristics. We did a very simple heuristic. I'm not going into the detail of the heuristic. This paper is published, but I'm going to show you a little bit the web-based system that we have. That, as I said, now we are testing it with a company called Suara. Suara is a company that is a cooperative company that provides social services to the Barcelona City Council. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so we, of course, first of all, we have to collect all the data. We spend a lot of time to collect the data. Think about, this is data that cannot be open because it's very delicate data. And then we can produce the schedule. There's two basic heuristics that we produce. the schedule, and so they can see the schedule for each person, for each area, and at the end we produce some statistics for the managers to see how they are doing, because of course none of these schedules gets the optimal solution. It's like a good solution, but not optimal. They can see, for example, here you see that most of the people have the same caregiver every time, and here you see that only a few people has 2 caregivers and 3 caregivers, and almost very few ones have 4 caregivers for the to see. So this is one of the projects that we have in home care, and I think this is growing because they are really want to have more and more home care, at least in Barcelona. The another one is more in the social care. It's a work that we have done with so we went to the Barcelona City Council, and it's just a story. How do I contact them? So we have a person in the university that she's amazing. She knows everyone in Barcelona. I tell her, Teresa, do you know anyone in this area? And a few days later say, oh, well, I already arranged a meeting with you. And she's working for the university doing exactly only this. So this is a recommendation. She knows everyone. And she contacted with the director of the social service of the Barcelona City Council. And I must say, for Luis Torrens, I have to say his name because he was amazing. The first meeting he offered us to have 2 industrial PhD students working in problems in social care. I've never had this, never in my life. We needed several meetings to convince the people that we can help them. So this person is really an outlier, and is support us in all the ways. So we say, Luis, we need a video explain. We have a video in YouTube explaining the project. Can you send like someone to record? Oh, sure, come. So this is really unusual, very unusual. So the Barcelona City Council have a NGO that it's for assistive technology programs. So assistive technology programs, that's the word in English, it's for giving technology or equipment for people who has disability on movement. So they need a wheelchair, they need like some type of beds, they need like, I don't know what the name when you, oh, you know when I don't know the name, so you know what I meant. And this could be for a certain period. So if I break my leg, I can ask them to give this, or could be forever. Someone who needs a wheelchair forever. So, and think about if I need a wheelchair for 1 month, I buy a wheelchair, and then what I do with the wheelchair. So I keep them in my house. And so this company, this organization, what does is collect this as some volunteers, usually retired engineers or retired technicians, that fix and make sure that everything is correct. So they are volunteers, and then they let to people that need it. So it's a circular economy system where they collect, they clean it, they repair, they storage, they give it to a user, and then they deliver and even make the installation, help you with everything. So this is an NGO. This is run by social workers. So it's basically social workers, and they have these volunteers that just coming and fix the technician that fixed that. So they have several problems. First, they have only one location in Barcelona, which is not in a very good place and is very small. So people don't go there usually to pick things, because it's some people, if you are in a need, if you are like in a vulnerable population, it's a little bit far, you cannot go there. So they wanted to help us to decide where they should open more stores, ARS stores. Okay, and then we have to look at the inventory. So they have inventory of many products that they never are asked, and others that are requested a lot. But since they depend on donations, they have no control of inventory, and they have no system to control the inventory. And then we have the pickup and delivery. So they have to pick up. If I donate my wheelchair, they will come to my home and pick it up, and then they have to deliver to the people who are vulnerable. So this is most of them. So to make the story short, Luis called them and said, you have to receive these researchers. Luis is their job, their boss. Okay, so this ONG depends on this person, get support financial for this person. So he pays, basically, so he can order. And they received it. And the first meeting, it was really disappointing because it was like, I think someone said that is on this 4 category that David said before. It was like, you don't know anything about this. This is social work. You are from economics department. Wow, you just think about money. It was really disappointing. Okay. We say, okay, let's do what we can. And then we say, okay, just give a data, explain it to us. Then we send some students to go with them and see. We visited the warehouse. That's where I get permission to ask this picture, and I have more pictures. So we finally get the data. We work on the models, and now we send them the Excel file. They say, we only work in Excel. Don't give us anything else. We don't want to learn any software. If it's in Excel, good. If it's not in Excel, forget it about it. That's what I said. Okay, so we go in Excel. So we did these 3 projects. The first one is a P median, is a location. Think about there is different products here. Some of them are really big, so that you cannot store all the products in every selling point because some selling points are really small. And it's a P median. It's a P median, and we help them we give them on the map and say, okay, where they should locate it, depending on the population. So we get the population. We have data from the Open Data Barcelona, all the data about disabled people, so that we have the data, where they are located, where they live, and we help them to tell what they should locate it and which products. So these are different products they should they serve which area. There was like, okay, so you can help us a little bit. And then we did the same with the inventory management, very simple model in inventory management, the ones you teach to your students, so nothing fancy. And we even did ABC classification because they have no idea about, I asked them, what is the product that people demands more? We don't know. Okay, so ABC classification, so they can classify the products a little bit in a better way. That was something. And then we did the routing, and the routing is the one was more complicated because during COVID, so in previous COVID, they will go collect, deliver, whatever, it doesn't matter. But during COVID, they have to deliver first and collect after for have no contaminations on the truck. The truck is also a volunteer. It's 2 people that do deliveries for companies, and they volunteer to do this one. So we have also to be careful with the time, because think about, sometimes it's like a person that die and the family donates everything. So, and the family are not at home. So they call us and say, I'll be at home this afternoon. Can you come this afternoon? If you don't come that afternoon, you don't get, especially the beds, which are something that is a lot of demand because they're very expensive. So we help them with this, and we help them with the routing, if we didn't even in the map, and they really like it. After, when we start showing the results, they start saying, oh, okay, this is interesting. Now they call us for everything. And that's the story I told the other day. So I said, no, this is not optimization. I cannot help you with the contracts of the volunteers. I mean, I'm not the human resources. Okay, but they are very nice people. The thing is that the language that we talk maybe was not the language they are used to talk. But this is a project that we're very, very happy, because they told us that they did increase a lot the collection, which is of products they have not collect usually, and they even increased the number of LEDs they led to the people that of need, and this is really good. The idea is that in the future, not only vulnerable people use this, but everyone, to have like a circular economy and not throw away so much things. The next one is the one of collecting and distributing. So during the COVID, when my 2 friends from Portugal, Pedro and Antonio, we decided to, I did a project before several years ago. In reality, it was my first project on collecting blood samples for a laboratory in Barcelona. And that's when I really learned how to talk with doctors. Okay, so again, we have the luck to have one doctor that the husband was in my department, and she was really, really helpful. She was like, I call them the translator. Okay, so translated what I say to the doctors. And this was collecting for blood sample, because blood sample, I don't know here, but in Spain, they need now so much equipment. The equipment is so expensive that they merge a lot of companies. Small companies for doing blood analytics or sample analytics, they merge in bigger companies so they can afford $1 million equipment. But since the equipment is big, they move outside the city. Okay, if I need to have a blood sample, I'm not going to outside the city to get my blood sample because I cannot eat, so I want it close to my home. That's the market. So now they have like just very small blood collection or sample collection in the city, and they have to move this to the outside the city. There's a vehicle routing here again. So we thought we could help with the COVID, and this the idea came out on the news. I saw in the news that they bought this robot, very sophisticated, in a hospital that could do I don't know how much samples a day, but they were working only 50% of the time because the samples don't arrive. Oh, this is logistics. I can help on that. Okay, so that's what I realized. It was that period of time they took a lot, so they did very little analytics. So you don't know if you have COVID or not. So I started working. So I call again Teresa and said, "Do you know anyone in this hospital?" Teresa, please. And she get on contact with this, and then we did this. That's the examples that we give. So this is data that is public available because they collect from the primary health centers. There are several in Barcelona, and they deliver to 2 hospitals. So the hospital's location, the primary health center locations is public, so we could do it. Okay, the capacity was not a problem for the trucks in this case. And then after we did this, with the food bank in Barcelona Food Bank, we realized the problem was exactly the same, but the other way around, from deliver food for people who are in quarantine. So we did a mathematical model, again, just for fun, and we did an Excel-based system that I can show you some screenshot. This is an open VRP because the truck goes to the first primary health center, collects second, third, and delivers to the hospital and leaves. So it's not a closed VRP, it's an open VRP with some constraints. For example, one of the biggest differences is the maximum travel time. So the samples cannot travel more than 2 hours. Okay, so they cannot travel more than 2 hours. And then we have the costs. Okay, so this is the model. I'm not going in the model. This is not published yet because I was lazy to write it. It's almost. So we have all the data, and this data is completely, so this is all the primary health centers in Barcelona. We can say how much boxes we have to collect. Even usually the capacity is not a problem, but they can tell us more or less. That depends a lot on the population. So there's some primary health centers are small and some are big. And we can geolocalize this. We use Bing Maps because Google Maps we have to pay. So we use Bing Maps because it was free. And then at the end, we do an iterated local search algorithm, a very simple iterated local search algorithm to produce the schedule this is for the primary health center. So we give this to the driver, and we give a print to the driver, and that's what at least the driver knows where to go. Okay, and with this, we could increase the number of COVID samples to be delivered. In reality, it was funny because they say, we don't want to deal with this. We just send you the data. You give us the drivers, and that's it. We don't want to have the software. Okay, so it's very funny. Okay, because I said it was very applied in a very short period of time. Okay, then for the food bank is exactly the same. The thing is that the food delivers the warehouse of the food bank, which is like in an industrial area in Barcelona, and then goes to the houses of the people. And when it's again, it's volunteer drivers. So when they finish the last delivery, they just do whatever they want. It's an open VRP. Right now, the food bank, we are trying to convince the food bank that instead to have these locals where people goes and puts on the queue to get food, this is not good for the people, because if you are in that queue, I mean, you are saying that you are poor. It's very sad for these people. So we're trying to convince the food bank to deliver at home. So to have this to deliver at home to these people, which is okay, it comes a truck with the food. You don't know if you buy it, if it's given. So the bags are white. So this is more helps the people to really get on a better quality of life. So we're trying to convince this. They are trying to see if they have enough drivers because again, this is volunteers. And here the logistics director is, so to give also the story, is very, very nice. He wants to do things, but the one above, it's like, it's like one of the first persons in the, this one is always all put complaints to us, and like they'll say, no, no, no. This, you got to ask his money, then after the software. I mean, I'm not selling this. I mean, it's, I want to talk about it. I want to make publicity. That's what I recover let's say my investment. Okay, and the last one is about scheduling sustainable transportation persons with reduced mobility. So in Barcelona City Council, again, depends on this social care area, there's a program for people who have reduced mobility that the city council provides transportation for whatever you want. I can go to the Barca soccer team, I give you transportation. I want to go to the theater, I give some transportation. I go to movies, I give transportation. It's a very reduced number of people. They have like, they call it a pink car. So they have to apply. There's a long process to apply to access these services, but it's very important for, it's mostly elderly, but also very young people with strong reduced mobility constraints. So this right now, this program is planified by hand. So there's a person that just decide. And we wanted, so one of this PhD program is trying to help this planification and increase the number of people that can do this service, because now only a few people use this service for the ones who can do these services. Okay, so what kind of service they have? They have two types of service. The sporadic one is the one I told you, go to the theater, go to the movies. And then the regular services is for people that go to school or work. Okay, so I have to go to school every day. I have to go to work, but I have a strong reduced mobility constraint. So they provide like these services. This is like a bus, but they can use adapted taxis, no adapted taxis. And in this case, they can use a bus. And in this case, they're trying to use as much buses as possible, because this is planned once a year. This is planned once a year, which is going to be done, I think it was done last week, to all the year they runs this bus and these taxis. These taxis know that I have to pick this person at 8:30 to deliver this person in the workplace at 9. Okay, so now we are working on this one. Later we're going to work on that one. Even now we stopped working on this one because the regulation changed. And again, this is something which is new for us. We have to read the regulation. And it's not easy for a mathematician read the laws. I can guarantee you. And I have to read it in Catalan, which is even worse. Okay. Also, the first thing we're doing is say, okay, where is this people? So Barcelona is a very, like in any other big town, has different neighborhoods with different type of person. So where is this people? So we try to realize where the people are, they need it, what are the people they use it, and you see where there is more people, it's not the ones that use more the services, because this is a poor area. Okay, so this person's here. This here, it's very interesting. There are very few people, but there are, they use it more as a rich area because they have access to more, they call more, they are another type of person. So the first thing we did, also we look at, this is the number of services they do for the ones that are above the regular ones. So of course this is the COVID one. So this is the number of, this is weekends. So this is the number of services. I must say, this is another lesson that I say, data was a problem. I mean, if we do have access to all data, but cleaning the data, ask my PhD student because it was her work. Oh, I say, okay, cleaning the data was, so things like so silly, like locating a person in the middle of the mountain where there is a garden. I mean, no one lives there. There's no houses there. So why the address is in this street? It was just a different, like a different on 2 letters. Okay, so when we locate, they say, oh, so this is the middle of Montjuic Mountain and there's no one living there. So just look where this person lives. Okay, otherwise we don't do anything. So the characteristics of this regular service is, of course, again, here there's a maximum trip time of user. So if it's to go to, if it's young people, to go to school is no more than 1 hour. So they cannot be more than 1 hour in a bus by law. The time windows, of course, is some of them are soft, some of them are hard. But if you have to go, the school starts at 9 o'clock, so you have to be there at 9. Then different types of users, when some users need a wheelchair, some users don't need a wheelchair. Some users need someone to go with them, a companion. Some people cannot go alone. Okay, so this is a different one. The vehicles are different prices. So the bus is paid by kilometer. The taxes are paid with a fixed cost. This is an agreement they have with the taxes, and then they have the capacity of the truck or the bus or the taxes is different because, for example, in a bus, if there is a lot of wheelchairs goes, there cannot be so many people because all these people has to be seated. So the capacity can vary depending on the people, which is something is new. Then, as I said, this is usually regular. So every Mondays is the same, every Tuesdays is the same, every Wednesdays is the same. Okay. And then another for some people, special people, they have strong disabilities, they need to have the same driver all the time because this is special for kids or very young people. They need to recognize the driver. Otherwise, they can become very nervous. So this is something that is a driving consistency is something that does not appear on the industry usually. It can appear, but it's not common. But here it's very, very important for the quality of the service. Okay, so we look at the literature. This is a kind of dial and write problem. We look at literature. That's what Laura is doing more. It's like, see if everyone has no one has all the conditions that we have. We really, to solve the problems, we really don't care about this. But then to publish, we have to say, oh, this is new. Okay, so she has to do it. And so we're doing like this. Okay, now we did the mathematical model again. This is for very, very short instances. So I'm not going, just it's like a VRP style problem. We have two types of costs. So the costs, as remember, the fixed costs, the cost for the taxis and the cost for the bus are different. One is by kilometer, another one is by use. And then we have a lot of constraints. So we did a preliminary study with very small instance, just like we just look at the small region in Barcelona, and we were very happy, but we did improve. We improved the time of planning. That was very important. The time of planning was very fast, and we improved the number of sharing taxis. That's something that they didn't use. Sometimes they use one taxi for one person. Now we will say, okay, why don't we have sharing taxis? Okay, and increase the bus routes. This is basically now she's going to Brazil to work for 1 month to work with my colleague Anan, because Anan has an iterated local search for this problem. So I said, don't start from scratch, go there, and we adapt this iterated local search to your problem, because I don't know, 80% of the constraints, you already deal with them. There's 20% new constraints that you just have to adapt. 5 minutes, yes. Okay, so we're doing another project here. I like to comment the school location. The school location is very nice because we did this with a very famous economist, Marta Reinald, and to locate schools in Mexico. And we did very good results. And this is one that was very nice. The paper took a lot to publish because neither the economists say, oh, this is not interesting. The OR say, oh, this is just a location model that's not interesting. Say, come on, I mean, we are helping kids to go to school. Okay, no, it's I think this is social impact. And then we're doing also here something in location planning for vaccines campaign. We are working with Doctors Without Borders here. And we'd like to include more organizations here. And then we have also doing location of daycare. And this I'm trying to convince Georgina to work with me because we have data from Barcelona, we have data from Rio. It will be nice to have some data from South Africa to check this ones. Okay, so basically what we're doing now is working on these problems, health and social care. We also work on providing service to rural areas, because I don't know, in Europe, especially in Spain, rural areas have no services at all. And now the solution is going to be to have trucks going there. The bank with the truck goes there, the health truck goes there, because it's very expensive to maintain an equipment there, fixed equipment, but you can have. So this here, vehicle routing. Okay, so this is vehicle routing. The thing is that we won't try to always, it's very interesting here to have social value. The uncertainty is a very common aspect. The resilience is another aspect. So there's another new aspects on these problems that are different from what we have done all the time. And we are looking, of course, for the impact on knowledge, but also for impact on the well-being, on the society. So important characteristics of mentions are uncertainty, resilience, robust, adaptability, multi-objective. So there's a lot of new things here that I think we can make a huge contribution. And one important aspect is that to measure the social impact. Measure the economic impact is relatively easy compared with the social impact, because even on the same organization, you can have different opinions about what is the social impact. So we talk about money. Okay, so 10 is less than 20, but the social impact is not really. So we really is. Another aspect is to have simple to explain. So we need to explain the simple to explain, and a system that is Excel, a very simple system. If you say, okay, yes, you have to model and put it on the mathematical model using one of these softwares that we love, they will say, we cannot do that. We don't have persons to do that. More, we have a lot of volunteers. So even if we teach this person today, tomorrow, this person will not come. So the lessons learned on this one, I wanted to go this one. Okay, so we want to have a positive impact in the society. It doesn't mean that the business don't have an impact on society. Yes, they do, but a more direct impact on the society. Tools must be simple to understand and use. This is very important. So, and this is not easy for us. I don't think it's easy for it. And then measure the social impact. There's a concept coming out called the social return on investment. That we wanted to measure. We're trying to measure, for example, how many people did you help? What was the increase on using this assistive technology compared with before? This is something that we can measure, because if we can measure, we can convince the people that this is important. And then things like listen. The first meetings, I don't speak. I just listen, because I come with people that first, they don't speak my language. I don't speak their language. And I don't have any idea what they do. So it's completely new for me. Then careful with the meaning of words. We like optimal solutions. For us, the optimal solution is very clear, is the best. I heard things like, this solution is more optimal than that one. I said like, oh, I don't know if I understand what you mean. So the meaning of words is really important. Then very important, define well the objective function. What is really the objective function? If it's economic, it's relatively easy to measure. But if it's quality of service, this is very, very difficult to measure. Then we work with people. So it's not boxes, not cars, it's not trucks, it's people. And people can tell you something today and something different tomorrow. And then explain. That's another one that we struggle a lot, because we like to talk with people like you. Okay, so you understand what I'm doing. But with the doctors, I found it very interesting, because they are really smart people. But it was really, really difficult. It's really difficult to talk with doctors. And they deal with life. I mean, we deal with boxes. It's not the same. Okay, so I found it, and I think I'm better, not perfect at all, but I'm a little bit better to be careful. So to conclude, so I think OR has a really great opportunity to improve the society, and this is one of the lines of research I think is very interesting, not the only one, of course. Always think about people satisfaction. Think about stochastic. There's a lot of stochastic. So when I ask the doctor, how much time you take with each patient? I don't know. It depends. Yeah, but it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes. It could be 5 minutes, could be 20 minutes. No. And he or she is saying the truth. I mean, it's not that it's not saying the truth, right? And then there's some economic people that go, so you have to take 10 minutes to each of them. And this is not reality, and that creates conflicts, and that does not solve the problem. So we have to really understand what that. Be simple, very simple. So we don't need sophisticated models. We don't need sophisticated algorithms. We need sophisticated models if they are necessary. But if the P median works, why put it more complicated just for what? So if P median works, if P median works, that's it. And accessibility, like making really assess this to the one. So I think operation research is a good opportunity to do this, to work in this area. There's lots of problems. So I say to my PhD students, pick a problem that no one worked on it before. Because if you pick a very famous problem, there was a lot of smart people already working on that. So you have to be smarter, right? So that's a really interesting. This is my team. So this is Laura working in the Barcelona City Council. This is Dani. This is the two that I got from the industrial PhD. This is Jessica de Armeca, Jessica Rodriguez, and myself. So we are a very small team because in Barcelona and the university now we cannot hire anyone basically. And I have to thank all these organizations. So I have to thank all the support on. So we have support from the government to do this research, but also from the La Caixa. La Caixa is a bank. And also Barcelona City Council, Bank of Aliments, Bank of Suara, Doctors Without Border. Without them, I could not do this work. So thank you so much. And if you have questions behind then this ones, you can contact me. I'm around until tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you so much, Professor. It's really interesting. So we have some few minutes for questions if there are any.
Thanks, Helena. It was a great talk, and it's really nice to see this type of work being done in sort of social for social impact. I think NGOs and NPOs in particular really benefit from this almost more than anyone because they have a lot of constraints, particularly with respect to their income and their revenue, and so trying to get as much value to the people they're trying to help, one feels that OR plays a huge role there. So one of the things I was interested in is you engage with an NGO or NPO to help solve a particular problem. How do you support them after that? Because often in a year's time there might be a regulatory change. Suddenly the model is not quite a good fit. But automation bias. Once you've got a model in there, people just believe the result. And so you need people to constantly review. Is there are there plans in place to address that type of thing?
That's a very good question. I mean, that's a very good question. Yeah, it is a problem. Some NGOs or some NPOs, for example, Doctors Without Borders are very professional. So they are very professional, and I'm sure we didn't transfer yet anything to them. We're still working on the model, but some others like the Bank of Movements are very volunteer based. So what we propose to them is to keep in contact with us. And we try to help as much as possible. And that's why the model should be simple. And maybe sometimes the model does not, or the system does not solve perfectly the problem. It's not like for when I go to Inditex or I go to SEAT that I have to really solve them. It just gives them a brief idea, just like a first start. So with the first start, the maintenance and renew is not such a big thing. For this one, there's Bank de Moviment. For example, the location. I mean, after they open the stores, they will not need it until maybe 5 years, 10 years. But we try. That's why the simple is very important, because if it's simple, they give you a first start and you don't need to do the maintenance. But of course, this is a problem. We're trying to convince, for example, we're trying to convince for one of the NGOs to have some company doing the support, like some company have this like instead to pay publicity in Formula One, that's the example I will say, why don't you support things like this and help them to do this? That's what we're trying, but we are not very successful in that.
Kind of leading on or continuing with that, the flexibility of the model is it, you know, you're not going to get a perfect solution. You're not, but how easy would it be to apply it to a novel situation or novel city or a new city without having to adapt your coding or your underlying structures, because it's the same problem. It's the same. Your model is there. How have you looked at making this sort of a public model? Poor countries and the rest of the world that have something similar, and the ability to roll out what you've done for Barcelona, what you've already done.
If I understand correctly, how do I adapt this to other areas?
How easy? I mean, here's a package. Give it to another area, and how easy do you see that being able to be used?
Okay, so for example, for the one with the collecting and distributing that we did. To be registered, so I have to fill some forms, the forms, to fill some forms. What I did, what I do, was participating. How much Laura done, how much I done. This then we don't know. We just put like some percentage that is fair for the students, and then if any organization wants to use them, in this case, if it's an NGO, NPO, we give it by free. So we get without maintenance. Okay. So we give it by free. If it's a business, we have to negotiate the price. But this is the university as a transfer services, transfer knowledge services. And there's two people that are really good. So that's the ones that help us to do this transfer, knowledge transfer to this. In reality, now the university is very worried about this knowledge transfer. I have like a position in university to help to this, to increase the transference for the society, because in Spain, contrary with the United States, we create a lot of knowledge, but it stays on the university. And so we are really, in my university, really worried that in this case, so if it's with the Red Cross, we are just working on agreement to this, that. And my policy in my group is that if it's NGO, NPO, any of this, you can have access for free without maintenance, without anything. If notice that in the city council, it's really interesting because one of the persons in the city council say, when is this working? A few years later, I will go to Madrid and show them what we do. So they know each other, all of them. So this, I think, and I said, oh, only if you pay a industrial PhD, otherwise you cannot give this. But for the industrial PhDs, the software is property of the company. So industrial PhD is a program that the company hires the student works on the PhD topic. It does not work for the company like in other things. It works for the PhD, but the software or the outputs is commercial properties of the company. It's not of the student. The student has the rights, the knowledge, the intellectual rights. I think that's the name in English. And so in this case, for the city council, for the industrial PhD, the property will be of that, and they wanted to offer it open source to every council in other city in the world. That's what they intend. Okay.
There's maybe time for one more question. I have maybe a question. I see there's a lot of younger people in the audience. And if you had to give some tips or advice on how do you actually start getting involved in doing mathematics for social good?
Yeah, I mean, my story is a little bit weird because I did math, I did operation research, and then when I moved to Spain, because I married a Spanish man, That's the reason. A Spanish university don't hire foreigners at that time. It was very difficult. So the thing they offer me is like, it's better stay home. They don't make any money, a lot of work. So, and then there comes this university which is really new, but I entered the economics and business department. Oh, Jesus, that was really tough because they want me to do business. And okay, so I spent some time trying to learn businesses, and I realized that that's a really good thing. I think I'm not regretted because I learned a lot of things, but I like the maths. That's what I like. So if you want to choose, and then I did a lot of projects for big companies, or at least some. I did theoretical work, of course, so that's but also from we did a project for Inditex. We did projects for Inditex is Zara. So Zara, Zara, the store that is in the mall. So Inditex is the mother company, and they have Zara, Stradivarius, Massimo Dutti. They have a lot of brands, and Inditex is the Amazon in fashion industry. They're really, really smart. I know them, and they're really, really smart. They are really smart people, and I can tell you, I work with them. I've never seen smarter people like this. So I can imagine why they are #1 in the world. And I did say it. And then I don't know why with Jessica, which is my best friend. So this is Jessica here. My best friend would say, "Why when you don't do something different?" So I don't want to do the same all the time. That's why we do research. We do research because it's challenging. Every time is different. When we start a project, we have no idea what's going on. It can go wrong, everything. So I said, okay, for several reasons, I was sick, and my father was sick, and I have to spend one night at the hospital with him in the urgencies. And I said, this is all wrong. I mean, I could not do nothing. I just wait there and see if my father gets better or not. I hope, unfortunately not. But I just wait. I wait there, and I start looking at the operations of the hospital. I said, they have everything wrong. They spend a lot of time running from one. So they have one thing here, and then go there, and then come here, and then go there. Of course, if you put the two things together, it looks obvious. But for some reason, it's not obvious. What I think the obvious thing, it's not the obvious person. I realize that the mathematicians have this capacity, the optimization mathematicians have this capacity to optimize things even at home. My kids always make fun of me. But, and so I realized that this is an area that it's not so common. And the story is that on industry, that's a lot of engineers. And engineers in a way have some operations, some maths. They know about that. But the doctors, this sample collection that I did with, this is the laboratory in Barcelona. And then we organized a talk where I explain what I've done to the Laboratories Association of Spain. So all the Spanish laboratories for one sample. And I explained what I did. And some of that is, I have no idea this could be done with maths. I've done all this time by hand. And it's true. I mean, how many do I have idea to do I don't know, how to analyze a blood sample? I have no idea, right? So everyone knows what they know. And all these areas, the social care, the social care and the doctors, they don't have any course in our area. Unfortunately, some engineers don't have any course in this area anymore in Spain. I don't know here. So and I think, and I realized this is a nice thing. As I said, look for things that no one else looked before, because any model then can help. If you're working on a VRP, classical one, I mean, I saw such smart people already work on that. I have no idea how to improve that. So this is open your mind, look for things different. Talk with people that are different than you. This is always, even politically, I love to do this. And they don't like it, but I like it because it helps to me to understand. Listen, the listen thing. Okay, it was a very good question. Thank you.
Just a quick reminder for everyone to go and sign, because I think there's CPD points for the engineers at the, yeah, okay.